Good afternoon. My name is Preston Gray. I'm 27 years old, and I grew up in Woodland Terrace. I'm a resident in the Ward 8 community, and in 2018, I took the initiative to sign up for the Smart from the Start job readiness program. 14 weeks later, I was able to get a job with D.C. Housing Authority as a laborer, and now I'm training to become a mechanic. Due to that, I was also able to get my first apartment and car, which is important when you are a newlywed with 3 sons and a little girl on the way. And now that Muriel Bowser is going to invest more services in the community, even more families like mine will be able to get the help they need. And now I would like to introduce the best mayor in America, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Well, good morning, everybody. I am just really excited to be here, and I am so happy for you, Preston, and your family, and families just like yours all across Washington, D.C., who are just looking for opportunity and a fair shot to give their families what everybody wants. Safe housing, great job, great education, safety, and to be proud of themselves and the city that they live in. And that is what we are here to talk about today, how we can make more investments to give our families the help that they need to take advantage of a Washington, D.C. that is growing and it's changing. And today, we're not just celebrating a nearly $4 million investment. We're also celebrating neighbors, cousins, friends, students, and colleagues, all of the people who will benefit from the services offered through Families First DC. We're celebrating the community-based organizations that will work with Director Donald, the best CFSA director in America, and her team, and our wonderful team at Child and Family Services, who every day are working with kids and families to make sure that they're secure and safe and thriving and growing, and that we are offering every way possible for them to get there. So we're opening 10 family success centers in Wards 7 and 8. And much like our Connected Schools model, Families First DC recognizes that when parents do well, children do well. And when children do well, parents do well. The initiative is focused in Wards 7 and 8 because that's where we believe we can help the most families and have an immediate and big impact. Families First is not a standalone initiative. We're rolling this out as we continue to make investments in public safety and in high-quality, affordable housing. We are building these centers as we continue to create new child care opportunities and reimagine the high school experience at schools like Bard, Anacostia, and Ballou. All families we know need support. It often comes from relatives and friends or neighbors. And now we want every family to know that you have one more place, actually 10 more places, that you can turn to and help getting back on your feet, or making a new path for yourself and for your family. I want to acknowledge a number of the members of my cabinet who are here. I see our Deputy Mayor for Public Education, Paul Kine, our Chancellor of D.C. Public Schools, Dr. Louis Farabee, Dale McFadden, and Tim White, who lead our ONES office and our East of the Rivers Services office, respectively. I see Rich Race-Gavlin, who leads the Department of Libraries for D.C., all that have a lot to do with how we support families. And I see Ashley Emerson in the back, who leads the mayor's office on African American affairs. So you can see at my cabinet level, the charge is that we collaborate, we bring all the many services that we already have to bear in a concentrated way, in an intentional way, to help families succeed. What we also know, and the director will talk about this more, is that these services at the grassroots level is better. Sometimes people don't like to go to the Wilson building or government building. I don't know why that is. They want to stay close to home. They want to talk to people that they know and trust. And that's why we want to answer that call and bring services in communities and work with organizations that we trust and that we know are effective. Everybody knows this. I love working with the nonprofit community, but if you're not effective, goodbye. See you later. We're not interested. So we work with people that we know can move the dial for families. So with that, let me introduce Brenda Donald.
Thank you so much, Mayor Bowser. I am so pleased to join our mayor to announce the Families First DC program. And really, less than a year ago, this was just a vision and an idea that many of us had talked about and thought about for many years, but it really came to fruition when we were developing our Family First plan. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but talking about the gaps that plan leaves in terms of serving families. And so I went to the mayor along with a couple of my colleagues. Director Zeilinger couldn't be here today, but she certainly is a key partner in this, Department of Human Services, Department of Behavioral Health, and Department of Health, who are at the table and saying we really need to meet families where they are. We have a Family First federal plan, but it only goes so far. And so when I shared with the mayor that we looked at data that shows that in terms of social determinants of health outcomes, in terms of school readiness and school achievement, in terms of substantiated abuse and neglect, and in terms of crime, that these neighborhoods are the neighborhoods where we really need to go deeper in. And the mayor's like, well, you know, I've got all these investments in Wards 7 and 8. Come back to me with a plan that says, how do we fill in some of those gaps? And I did, and she said, I'm putting it in the budget. And I was like, whoa. And she said, but I want you to have it up and running early next year. So, Mayor, here we are, right at the beginning of the fiscal year, getting it up and running. So many people were involved in this and will continue to be involved in this. That's why you're invited here. Those who had their fingerprints on helping to conceive of what this should be, but those who will really help to shape it to make it what it should be. These new investments show the mayor's continuing commitment and dedication to ensuring that no families are left behind. She's talked about from her first term, pathways to the middle class, and making sure that every family gets a fair shot. That's what this is all about. It's meeting people where they are, where they live, and with trusted partners who can really engage them, as the mayor said, in ways that the government may not be able to. But guess what? We've got all of these resources. We've got so many services for our families in terms of health and human services, in terms of public safety supports, education supports, our libraries. We want to make sure that families access these services. And as I often say, sometimes we make it hard or confusing. So the idea is that families will go to people they trust and know, and they'll ask questions in a way that they may not ask of the government because we may make it difficult for them to really get at what they need. And so the resource centers, or the family success centers as we're calling them, are really to help families to navigate. And then also to go back to us, the government agencies, and tell us how we can do our work better and differently. And that is a huge part of this, that it's not just about providing grants to community-based organizations who are already doing really hard work. It is about making the government behave differently. And so that's our commitment. That's what the mayor is holding our agencies accountable for, and that's how we continue to live and learn from all of our partners. So this initiative is whole community, whole family approach to ensuring that all district residents have an opportunity to succeed. It sits in the office of the Department of the Child and Family Services Agency, but that's just where it sits, and I have a small and mighty team, Octavia, look at our team over there, Kiera and Dominique, who will really help to bring this together and provide the support to all of the communities. So the whole goal is, again, going further upstream with our prevention services to increase protective factors, because we fundamentally believe that all families want to be able to take care of their children. Things get in the way. So the earlier you can find out what those things are and help to remove those barriers and link families with services, the better they're going to be. And I keep saying my goal is to work myself out of a job. We've done pretty well in terms of children in foster care. We used to have over 3,300 kids in foster care. We now have, I think it's 770. So we keep going down because of our community, the prevention services. And many of you here, our collaboratives, have been key partners to being able to do that. We want to continue that way, and the only way to do it is to go further and further upstream. So just simply, the programs are going to have a planning period from now until September. They'll have planning grants of $280,000 each to get them started, to hire a small staff, and kind of get their offices equipped. Some of the programs sit within a larger operation. Others will be a little bit more standalone, and it's kind of, the thing is, it's to the strength of this being a neighborhood initiative that each one will look a little bit different, because our neighborhoods look different. And so, our programs will come together in a learning network where we will share resources, provide technical assistance, and we've hired Link Strategic Partners to help us with that. I see Michael Aiken here. Thank you for your partnership to so many city programs. And so we'll have that kicking off on Thursday. Our grantees, we have a meeting already. Yes. Just to say a little bit more, each of the centers will have a variety of services. So some may have financial empowerment, and we have a partnership with one of our other agencies to do financial empowerment centers, we hope, economic security programs, parenting classes, mental health resources, computer labs, again, depending on what the communities need. And the programs will have a community advisory board, so everyone is holding everyone accountable, right? So we're all accountable to ourselves and to each other, and that's the only way to really make this work. As I said earlier, Families First DC is part of a larger prevention effort that is part of the district's federal 5-year Family First Prevention Plan. And that plan is aimed at preventing child abuse and neglect and expanding services to families who come to our front door. For children who may be at risk of coming into foster care, what can we do to support them and their families to keep them from coming into foster care? But we have to know who they are. So that was where I said that's where the Family First Plan started, and we're building out with Families First. So earlier this year, the district was the first jurisdiction in the nation to submit our prevention plan to the Children's Bureau, and our plan was the first in the nation to be approved. We're proud of that. And a key partner and a leader at the Department of Health and Human Services in the Children's Bureau is Jerry Milner, who is Associate Commissioner and has helped and been in many, many conversations with us along the way. And we see him as a key partner, and we're so grateful that he came out to join us today. So I'd like you to ask him to come up and say a few words.
Thanks so much, Mayor Bowser and Director O'Donnell as well. What a pleasure to get to come and share this tremendous opportunity with you guys once again. It feels like I was just here a little while ago congratulating you on getting that 5-year prevention services plan approved. As Director O'Donnell has noted, the first place in the whole country to do that. We brag about that plan. across the country because I think it is a visionary plan. Most people who follow the work that we're doing in the Children's Bureau know that for at least the last 3 years, almost 3 years, we've had a completely different vision about how we can reimagine child welfare in our country. To move child welfare from a very reactive, after the fact, after the trauma has occurred kind of a system to one that is very proactive and supporting and strengthening families long before they get to the point where formal child welfare involvement is actually necessary. Our belief, and you just heard Mayor Bowser say this using just a slightly different set of words, is that to keep children safe and healthy, we have to support their families. We have to help families achieve the resilience that will carry them through adverse situations, which all of us will face in our lifetimes. We have to give them the capacity to care for their children in safe and healthy ways, because we firmly believe that children's families are almost always the best support of nurture, of care, and of protection for the children. My colleagues and I have had an opportunity to visit other family success centers across the country and have just been blown away. It sounds a little bit trite, but that's what it is. We've been blown away with the simplicity of the idea that communities know their families and know their children and know them better than we in the government can know them, and that communities have the opportunity to craft the kinds of services, the kinds of supports that their families, their children can benefit from. And that's what these centers really do permit. As Director Donald has mentioned, the Family First Prevention Services Plan is an important a very important step in the process of creating a prevention-oriented, family-strengthening, child and family well-being system. I don't even like to call it a child welfare system anymore. Because it's really about well-being. But we all know the limitations of Family First in not reaching, as Director Donald has said, as far upstream as we need to reach in order to help families avoid the trauma that so often brings them to that front door of the child welfare agencies. We believe that this initiative is a huge step in creating that broad continuum of prevention services for the families and the children and the young people of the District of Columbia. We believe they provide that opportunity to reach families very early in the process and to help families have their basic needs met, which left unattended are the things that so often lead them to involvement in the child welfare system. And very importantly, I just want to emphasize something that Mayor Bowser has said. Our families out there don't often come to the Child Protection Agency to say, I need help. There's a fear factor there. There's a stigma that goes with that. And in many places across our country, that is not an unfounded fear or stigma that goes with that. By working collaboratively with communities, with community organizations that are there to help and support families, you have a tremendous opportunity to reach those families and to give them the strength that they need to care for their children in safe and healthy ways. So with that, thank you so much for letting us share this with you.
Okay, what we're waiting for is the announcement of the grantees. So I'm going to ask the mayor to come up and Dr. Milner so that we can congratulate our grantees. And we had a competitive grants process, and I couldn't be more thrilled with the results. And I think you'll see the grantees who really represent and reflect what we had in mind with this vision. So I'll start with Ward 7. And one of our neighborhoods is Benning Terrace / Benning Park. and that grantee is East of the River Family Strengthening Collaborative. And we have Clay Terrace is another one of our neighborhoods, and that grantee is Sasha Bruce Youth Works. Debbie, come on. Okay. We have Mayfair Paradise neighborhood, and that grantee is the North Capitol Collaborative. Okay. Stoddard Terrace / 37th Street. The grantee is Life Deeds. And we actually have a double winner, and several people applied for several different sites, which was allowed. So for Benning and Minnesota, the grantee is East of the River Family Strengthening Collaborative. Oh, look at you. Wow. Okay, now let's go over to my hometown, Ward 8. All right. And actually, of the 5 neighborhoods in Ward 8, I lived in 4 of them. So it's my hood. Okay, but I am really delighted to announce the winner for Woodland Terrace, which is Smart from the Start, who is our host grantee. And just a little editorial comment on that. When Mayor Bowser's first term, she brought her whole team out here. I think you had been in office for about a month because of some violence and some homicides in this neighborhood. And she said, we have got to figure out, we the government, what we're going to do to support this community. And so we all came. It was a huge meeting in this room with community partners and others. And we had some ideas, and we started putting some things in place. And one of the outgrowths of that was our Safer, Stronger initiative back when I was deputy mayor. And we gave some mini grants to community-based grassroots organizations. And one of those was Smart from the Start. That has now grown, and you leveraged those resources with additional resources from, I see Dr. Nesbitt here from DC Health, to expand, and now it's a thriving place where families come and where they have some resources to support the kind of work. It's exactly what we had hoped for, so we're so happy. So happy. Okay, Anacostia is another one of our neighborhoods, and I am delighted to announce that the grantee is Martha's Table. Kim. And it wouldn't be appropriate without one of our families. All right, then.
And that's one of our families, too. So collective impact.
All right. Another long-term partner, well-established in the community, was the grantee for Congress Heights, and that is the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative. Okay. Washington Highlands, another neighborhood I grew up in. I am delighted that we have a newer partner to our community, but one who has really established community-based roots, and where families are coming and are really gravitating around the work on the ground under this grantee, and that grantee is a Wider Circle. And our final grantee for Ward 8 will be responsible for the Bellevue community, another one of my neighborhoods. And that grantee is another amazing partner, Community of Hope. So let's congratulate all of our grantees. And would the members of the mayor's cabinet please join us up here and be part of this picture, because you're part of this big community to make all this work. Any questions? No, we're good. All right, so look forward to being involved in the planning process going forward, providing your input, your ideas, and we'll keep you posted as we push this along. Thank you.
Everybody to move over.